So today is an exciting day because it isn't the first day of spring, but it feels like the first day of spring. The last week I've been away actually, and it wasn't very nice to plant. But today is going to be the first day that we're going to be planting. I have a nice selection of slightly desiccated plants in here because they've been sitting in the box for probably 2 or 3 days. So I'll have to water these in. But here I figured we'd start at this station because I got a bunch of anemones. Now these are not our native anemones. These are ones from kind of the, I think, Mediterranean, Iran, that type of area. These are Anemone coronaria. And if you recall, last year, I believe, and even the year before that, I planted Anemone decon Mr. Fokker, and they have this beautiful blue purple color with these little black eyes, and I planted them in the memorial garden. And it's funny because I was re-watching that video, and it was like a month prior that I had been planting them, and they were already blooming in mid-April. And there's almost like nothing blooming right now. So I think that they're gonna come in a little later. So if you read anywhere, it'll say that these are only hardy to, they're not hardy to our zone. So we're in a 5-6. Every year they have returned for me. So you're supposed to lift them if you're anything in less than a 7. And with 5-6, they've come every year. So I invested in a number of them. So you see that this is Italian Anemone Mistral Bordeaux. This is a very deep kind of burgundy red, very beautiful, like blood red. And then I have some other ones in here that Galilee Pastel Mix, which is a bit more white with some lavenders. And I'll show you what they look like the pit of a stone fruit. They're very desiccated. And the first year I planted them directly into the soil just like this. But it's recommended to soak them usually for a few hours before you plant them. My plan is to plant them down here in the meadow garden because these plants are a bit more romantic and they're great for vases. For a small vase, they're absolutely adorable. The reason why I have 2 bowls here is that I also have Ranunculus. And this is a plant that I haven't really done before, but again, very elegant, very romantic. And this garden is a bit more cottagey, romantic vibe. So I want to try these. And again, these are fairly desiccated. These have been sitting in my basement for about a year because I think I bought them in the fall. But oftentimes you can't get the varieties that you really want. So I ordered them well in advance. And they kind of look like, you know, just desiccated octopus. And then just like these little fingers. And this also needs about 3 hours of rehydration, but you want to switch the water out. You want to keep it at around room temperature. So that's why I have some room temperature water here. And these are a little bit more challenging, and I'll tell you why. These I could plant right into the ground. These you may be able to plant in the ground, but we still have some really icy days coming up. And this has a bit more of a Goldilocks temperature. These do not want to be much below freezing. So what I'm going to do is plant them up in here for about 2 weeks until they start showing some green and some roots. And then after that, I'm going to plant them out into this environment. And they are not cold hardy. So if you want to lift them up, you're going to have to lift them up and keep them for the next year, or you're just going to let them expire. These are a bit more sensitive. I'm going to probably store them in the bird coop in the area where it's dark because they don't want to get much. I want to keep them probably between, I would say, 39 degrees Fahrenheit to roughly 59 degrees Fahrenheit, which would probably be somewhere between 4 and 15 degrees Celsius, somewhere around there. So, and I didn't have much of these because I want to experiment with them. I don't want to do too much at first, but this is also a nice cutting plant. And I think they look like roses. So I'm going to see if these rehydrate because like I said, they've been sitting dry and desiccated for quite some time. But you'll see they'll beef up. They'll look like thick fingers. And these will beef up too, but they'll just get like more odd shapes, kind of amoeboid shapes. I actually got a lot of these. These are nice to be planting in drifts, and you could do it like around 6 inches, and these need a little bit more space. I would say 8 to 9 inches. These are already hydrating, but I'll let these sit for 2 to 3 hours. We'll see where they land. And then these will plump up, and I'll start to plant those directly into the ground. I'll use a little bit of biotone, and I'll just use, this is kind of already a moist potting mix because this was Espoma's seconds, and so there's a lot of moisture in here. So I'll be using kind of a moist potting mix to plant these up. But I want to show you some of the plant haul here, and we'll take these over because this is all going into the ground. This is all from White Flower Farm, and they just have some really nice varieties. And again, if you recall, I'm kind of keeping a bit more of a restricted color palette over here. A lot of this is going to be purples, whites, and kind of Bordeaux burgundy reds. Some of it's bordering like purple into dark blacks. These beautiful Hellebores. Now, if you have kind of like a dry, shady area, so like say a shade garden that is really well draining, these are great. They get a relatively deeper root, and they don't like to be moved, and they should be flowering right about now. I mean, obviously these aren't flowering, but some of the ones that I had planted last year are flowering, and I'll show you some shots of that. So the ones that I've gotten here, within the 2 shades of that purplish red all the way to creamy white. So this is Roman red, and they have Rome in red, R-O-M-E in R-E-D, as opposed to Roman, R-O-M-A-N. And then this is Pippa's purple, and you can see it has a beautiful purple stem as well, and kind of a purplish color flower. And this one is Ivory Prince, which I think is really beautiful. It's kind of got this beigey white color of the flower with some hints of green. So this is also Roman red and Ivory Prince. So you can see I have like a lot of smaller plants around here, but this is going to be again my cutting garden. Now I probably wouldn't cut the Hellebores, but I like the idea of maybe planting them in and around underneath the trees. I might plant them in the far garden over here. Really nice to see these tulips opening up with these hyacinths. Let me show you what else we have. And all of this is kind of dry because we've built this soil up so high that it is going to be really well draining. So it's not in like the lower areas. If you want something that maybe needs a little bit more moisture, I would say underneath the tree and lower in the earth, because this is where the rain is going to fall and kind of collect. Now, something else that likes to be in a relatively dry, sunny area, this is dry and sunny, this is dry and shady. This is Alcea rosea, and this is Nigra. This is one of those giant cottage plants that you would see, the traditional hollyhocks that my mother used to grow. And this one has a really dark purple black flower. Bumbles absolutely love it. And I think I have 2 of those. And this is a relatively high garden, so a lot of these plants in here are gonna grow like 5 feet high, especially around in the middle. So I'm gonna be planting those up today. And I got another quintessential cottage plant. And this is Candy Mountain digitalis. So this is a foxglove. And the Candy Mountain white digitalis has like a white trumpet with purple spots. Now the one thing about these hollyhocks, I've found that they can be susceptible to Japanese beetles. Now if you recall, all of this has been built up. We used primarily just Espoma's potting medium because they had a bunch of seconds that they dropped off, and we have built up these berms really just planted directly into these beds. This is not even being planted into the native soil. So this should be pretty well draining. And we do get quite a bit of sun in this area. Now this is eastern light, comes in eastern, and then this is obviously the south, and this gets baked quite a bit. Now, in my house in Pennsylvania where I grew up, my mother would grow these directly into a really rocky area. So this is probably a bit more soil than normally have. That's how well draining they like it. I have seeded for a number of poppies. So it was probably 2 weeks ago that I seeded poppies here and along the edge, but I don't know if they'll come up because it's an experiment. So I got some single poppies. This is an amazing gray, Papava roeus, and this is like a grayish purple, really beautiful shade. And this one you can see they're a little desiccated. Then I have another poppy, and I have seeded this one as well. This is called Lauren's Grape, and it's a really deep purplish red color. And these are great seeders. So I guess they're considered more annual, but they come back every year, not on their own roots, but through their seeds. And their seed heads are beautiful. So again, a lot of this is gonna be a cutting garden, and you could even use some of their seed heads for vases. It's beautiful for flower arrangements. And again, I'm going for really romantic flowers. So if you look at poppies and ranunculus and anemones, those are all, in my mind, very elegant, very romantic flowers. Now here, you can't see it, but all in this section, I've planted crocosmia. So this is crocosmia lucifer, and it's one of my favorite summer blooming plants. I could probably see if I could dig up some. I planted them all throughout. They're basically corms. Here, I'll show you. Here's one. Like this, very well-rounded. They have like little roots right here. And so I planted probably 4 dozen of them right here. And they get this arching red flower, and hummingbirds absolutely adore it. So I planted this right around here in the nose. So if it seems pretty bare, you just have to wait until the summer months. I might only plant them along the edge here. And since the tulips are coming up, this is a real benefit because I'm actually not going to be planting where the tulips are coming up, so I could plant in between the tulips. Here's a lily leaf beetle. My goodness, right there, already so early in the season. That is what a lily leaf beetle looks like. So this is an invasive beetle, and you may be wondering, well, what is it on? Fritillaria meleagris, which is another bulb, beautiful bulb, it's the rattlesnake fritillary. That is also in the same family as Liliaceae.
Hey, above my back.
Ah!
Oh no! He squeezed his brain out.
I know, I just squeezed his brains out. That's the first one I've seen today, or this season.
How much damage did they do?
They do a lot of damage. It's almost like impossible to grow lilies. So, and I hadn't seen them here the first year, and then I planted lilies and they showed up. So, it's
well, they're easy to spot.
They're easy to spot, but this is a fritillaria coming up right here. Now I have a number of native perennials also planted in this area. So the goal here is have some beautiful tulips this year. Maybe some will come back next year. Maybe some will perennialize. But I don't plan on all of these 4,000 perennializing. So if you recall, we planted 4,000 or so in these gardens last year. And again, same way, built it up with all these raised beds, if you will, and use this aluminum edging on the side to give it a nice edge. Here's a nice another bare spot right here. With this section, we did a lot more wood chips because we did a combination of wood chips and soil because it gets really into this weedy mess outside on the bank.
It's growing upside down.
It is.
It's finding its way up. Let me help you out, you little guy.
Here. Let's put it in a new section.
Oh, yellow.
Yeah.
Sunlight.
It's grown another leaf after that. Good catch. My hope is that this will be a really great floral display from late April all the way through November. This doesn't look like much. It dried out, but you can see it has some nice new leaves. This is Ebony Angelica sylvestris. This is a very large umbelliferous plant. It could get probably my height, if not taller. And it looks like a carrot top, carrot top flower, umbelliferous flowers. And they get this purplish pink umbel, and they get these really dark purple leaves and dark purple stems. And I think I'm gonna plant it kind of in this area over there because it's a very striking flower, and I think it'll look really nice from the road. Then I got this sweet pea, and this is a cultivar called Zinfandel. These get deep purplish, roughly flower, and you need something for these to grow on. And these are not perennial. They're not gonna come back. You plant them once and you have them for the year. They grace you with their beautiful flower and their beautiful fragrance. But I figured these are nice and small. I could start planting them up just along this fence line and have them grow up there. So this is Raiden's favorite Symphyotrichum, and this is a mounding aster. So they get around 2 to 3 feet tall, but they have a tendency to grow quite wide. And I have quite a bit of asters that I started planting in this garden, this center garden, because it's quite large. And I figured during the fall months, that's going to provide a really nice resource for not only us, for beautiful plants, but also a great pollinator resource. And then the last one that I have is an echinacea. And this one's quite small, but you can see it's starting to grow. This is called Echinacea Fragrant Angel. This is a white flowering one, and I'll probably plant it in the front of the garden because this is an echinacea that is a cultivar that grows a little bit more of a short stature. Okay, let's see the progress. It's been a couple hours. Oh yeah, look at, these have plumped up really nicely. They still kind of look like stones or kind of weird amoeboid shapes, but these are gonna be ready for planting, so I'll probably do that. Broke for lunch, by the way, so I feel energized, but it does feel like it's gonna rain, even though the forecast says it's not. But this looks really good. Let's check the ranunculus. All right, so the ranunculus is now getting nice and fat, but it could still stand to get a little fatter. I just changed the water out because it likes fresh water. And I think probably after I'm done planting the anemone, I'll plant these in this right here. So I'm gonna use some biotone starter to plant these, just kind of spread it on the ground. And hopefully we'll see these bloom in late spring, early summer.